Yeah, the Benin. Okay, first and foremost, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers, and also say good morning to Ms. Alan Chamartin and the wife and the members of the alliance. Kwame, the Benin situation is an unfortunate situation. If you look at how Benin has been performing, since Patrice Talon took over as an independent president, Benin has seen a lot of progress, and in terms of the economy and peace, security-wise. And so, quite recently, Benin was named or mentioned among the fastest growing economies in the world, meaning they are doing something good. And so for them to go through what they are going through now is quite unfortunate. You see, what is happening in Benin, this jihadist group attacking the country at this time is something that I believe ECOWAS must quickly come in to help to resolve. The reason being that these jihadists, they don't have permanent, if you like, residence. They move as and when they find ungoverned spaces, especially along the border areas. So, as a result of what is happening in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, they are now looking for occupied or ungoverned spaces to occupy, and they found Benin to be one of those areas. Per the story, I've been reading some conflicting stories. One story says 15 people were killed, another story says 3 people were killed. Be that as it may, whether one person, two persons, or 15, what is happening there has to be stopped as quickly as possible. And I'm saying that if Benin alone doesn't have the strength, they will need the support of other countries within the bloc to help them to get over this. It's quite unfortunate, because the question is that if the people of Benin succeed in getting them out of Benin, where would they be? Because then they were going to look for another place to occupy, and that is what makes it dangerous, because then all of us are not safe. And these are people who are, I'm told, 2 groups are involved in this attack, the Islamic States and the support group for Islam and Muslims. These 2 groups are the ones, doing this kind of heinous, if you like, activities in those areas. So, yes, it's a lesson all of us, it's a lesson all of us can take from what is happening in Benin, that we need to protect our borders quite very well, because then, as I said, once they are out of Benin, where would they be? And already we are having problems in Togo with respect to the way the president is behaving, wanting to extend his mandate as president through this coup, a constitutional coup, if you like. So if they move from Benin and the next possible country is Togo, and Ghana is just after Togo, then it means something that we also have to be very, concerned about. So, yes, it's unfortunate. But as I said, Benin is doing well. Patrice Talon has been doing very well since he assumed office as an independent president. And I believe Benin has become an example for some of us, especially those of us who believe that Ghana has gotten to the time where we need an independent president to be able to transform this country. So that's what I would say.
Thank you very much, Fred. Well, thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our cherished viewers.
Today is a special day in the life of NDC. We are going to outdoor our running mates at UPSA by 4 p.m. And so we are inviting the general public to follow the event either on TV or radio. And she's not a new person. Everybody know her. Her credential is out there for everybody who wants to see. And I think that what we have gotten to as a nation is the best time to have a female partnering, President Mahama, to form the next government come next year. And so we are inviting everybody to come on board. Yesterday we held a meeting with President Mahama, all of us, MPs and PCs, and very, very fruitful discussions. And we are geared up, we are prepared, we are ready to take over power come next year. Quickly, what is happening in Burkina Faso, in Benin? It's quite a serious issue that we all need to pay attention to. There's this adage that when your neighbor's beer is on fire, either you dip yours in water or they fetch water by yours. And it appears what is happening in the sub-region, I don't know, it's a divine arrangement or our military is really up to the task, for which reason they've not entered our country. Because they've operated from Mali, they've been to Côte d'Ivoire, they've come to Niger, they've come to Burkina Faso, they moved through Togo, they are now in Benin. And as you rightly said, some conditions must make it possible for them to operate in your country. If you go to Benin now, the major problem they have in the northern territories of Benin has to do with land issues. They are fighting over land issues, they are fighting over chieftaincy issues, and all manner of things. There is some illegal trade that is going on in Benin that has to do with this child trafficking and women involved in all sex trade and what have you. So there's already some tension in that part of the country. And these guys will definitely take advantage. They move in and say, you know what, if government cannot support you, we can do it. We can help you. We can. And so by the time you say, Jack, they have succeeded in convincing you and they'll take over, and then they will use your home as an operating point to attack the whole nation. Ebo mentioned ECOWAS. I don't know if it exists. I am not too sure it exists. Boko Haram has been disturbing Nigeria for only God knows how long. The whole military command of Nigeria has not been able to bring them to order. That group you just mentioned, ECOWAS, if it exists, it has not been able to do anything about it. And the last time I was here, we were discussing what is happening in Burkina Faso and Niger, and the interest that a country like Russia is showing in the sub-region. And it's something we need to pay particular attention to. They are in here to protect. They are not in here to get involved in those things. But we as a country need to be very, very careful. I have said, if you look at how things are happening, especially in the northern part of this country, the Boku area, you create a fertile ground that people now want to exploit and take advantage of. And so we need to find out. I don't know if you really are following the economic achievement of Benin. They now have what they call the white gold, which is cotton. They are becoming a major cotton hub, in the world. They are producing cotton, and you sit back and say, Ghana, I don't know if they still exist, the Manifesto factory, Akosombo textile factory, Japan textile factory, and those of us who grew up around those areas, it was beautiful those days. You have these buses cutting people from all over. Japan was doing very well. Today, the factories collapsed, essentially because we don't have raw materials to even feed the factory. Benin is doing very, very well with cotton, and it's rather a place we should move to now, go and learn. Just we have refused to do the things that we know how to do best over there. You should go back to them, find out how we can pick some lessons from them. So it will be in our collective interest that we can take whatever that is going on over there. We can't sit and just say we don't care, it's not about us. As I said, we have been very, very lucky as a country, really. We have been very, very, very lucky as to why these things have not come to our country. And so ECOWAS, I'm not too confident in their ability to do it. I think that we should rather encourage the Benin, government and military. They should be able to do it. If we encourage them, they should be able to go out there and see how they can curtail the issues. Thank you.
Very well. Bro, yeah.
Benin.
I think I was in Benin late last year to hold some discussions with the Benin Navy concerning the pirates' activities at sea, and we are still discussing that issue because we need to. We bought our vessels with Navy because of the pirates, and so the Navy cannot cross over to Benin, where we get a bulk of our tuna. So we are still negotiating to see how we can get our vessel into the territorial waters with our Navy without necessarily carrying their and it was a wonderful place driving around Benin. I realized that the place was developing fast, and the port area, virtually everywhere you pass, there was some development ongoing in the capital We even went to Port Novo, their former capital, and they have interesting films. So, you see, we cannot sit and allow a few people who, for some strange reasons, because currently you cannot even explain what reasons are driving the activities of these terrorists. They used to say they want to protect their Islamic thing, but now it's not Islam, because Islam is about peace. That's the understanding we are getting. So when people are becoming violent, then they are not seeking peace. And if you go to Nigeria, all these girls they've been abducting are Muslims, and so I don't know what is it that they want. But you see, these are fallouts from wars that have been fought, that arms have found itself in the arms of some criminals who have decided to create problems in the sub-region. And most of it had come from Libya. After the Libyan war, those who had arms found it convenient to move to Mali, which was closer to Libya, and that is what is basically destroying the peace of mind of people. Now people find it got to a time people find it so difficult to socialize, because when you get to place where, especially when you get to places where you have a lot of white people around, then the fear is that they target those areas. So people lost their social life. We as a country need to protect our borders very well. We need to intensify the way our security works. Because, yeah, sometimes you drive and then a policeman sees you and he just waves at you. And at times, I've had a few occasions where the police had thoroughly searched my vehicle. They stopped me, they asked me to come out. I let them, they opened my boots. We need those kind of intensive searches by the police, especially along our border lines, our border towns. We need the police to intensify their searches on vehicles. Benin is not too far from us. It's just about a few hours drive, and then you are in Ghana. So, and you have an easy sea route. We do not really check what happens. Maybe because of where those people are coming from, they may not feel comfortable using the sea. Otherwise, when they get into a canoe, they can just come into Ghana without any hindrance. Because we have a lot of landing beaches in Ghana where canoes can easily land. Because we take off and before you know we are in Calabar or we are in Togo or we are in Benin, our canoe. So nobody really checks what happened when it comes to canoes moving. But I think that with the insurgence of the activities of terrorists, we need to check both our sea route and land route. It's a bit more difficult for them to use the airports because of the kind of checks that you have at the airports. And now, because communication is easy, people are easily able to recruit. We're in Ghana when Aliman decided to go and join the Islamic. He got there before how was he recruited? You have social media.
Ghana is there, eh?
Yeah, so we have social media that has become easily accessible to people. So people are indoctrinated on social media. And so they may not have to cross over to Ghana to do anything. All they need to do is to indoctrinate a few people and then provide them resources, and before you know, they may be able to do things. So we at home also need to check the way our children behave and what is it that they do on social media. We need to be guided by what kind of friends they keep and what conversation they do have with those friends. Because if we do not do that, they may be indoctrinated and we may not know, and they may become a danger in society. The schools would also need to do more of check what the children do, what they discuss, probably set spies among the children so that the teachers will be informed as to some of the things the children discuss when they meet, which people come to them, which people talk to them, what people say to them, what kind of social media activity they are engaged in. Because we need to protect the children. They are easy targets, they are gullible, they can easily be influenced to get into some of these things.
Well, thank you very much. Let me remind viewers that we are streaming live on Facebook.
facebook.com/Pan-African Television. You may want to share your thoughts with us via Facebook and YouTube as well. So those of you who are watching us online, you can leave your messages and I'll read them. Alternatively, you can send your WhatsApp messages to our WhatsApp number and then, read them here on the show. Professor Stephen Adai has started talking again. And I think last week or so he was under fire by TUC when I believe he had retorted that artisans in Togo, I believe, are better than artisans in Ghana. Today, he's saying that current power crisis is not as bad as that of Mohammed's. Professor Adai. So now it's no longer we have the wherewithal, we have the magic wand. It is about, oh, yours was bad, mine is bad, but yours was yours was bad. Richard, let me start with you on this one.
Well, I read the story and I heard it and I was laughing. We are comparing apples with oranges. We had a situation where we didn't even have the generation capacity. And you see, when you say not as bad as Mama didn't create DANSO. And I think that is what people have not been able to drum home properly. When in Ghana, when pastors went to pray so that the Akosombo Dam will be filled by miracle, and when we're solving problems through miracles. And so it means that our generational capacity had been a problem. What we forgot to realize was that the intent of Akosombo was not for domestic use. Because when Nkrumah wanted the loan, the reason he brought in Kaiser Alumina was because they needed some industry that requires the generation that was going to come out of Akosombo. And so Kaiser Alumina had to come in so that we'll get the facility to be able to put up the Akosombo. So the bulk of the Akosombo was serving Kaiser Alumina Valco. And so it was more for industrial purpose that the Akosombo was put up. Nkrumah had a plan to dam smaller water bodies, and that is why Bui was part of the plans for further generation. It means that at the time, he had a vision that Akosombo may not be sufficient for the entire country when we want to depend on hydro generation. So that vision was curtailed, and the moment the vision was curtailed, we set ourselves up to a point where we will have challenges if we decide that we would now extend electricity for domestic use. Nkrumah set up the nuclear energy in order that we have that atomic energy, we have that energy mix. So it means that he had a vision beyond just the dependence on the Akosombo. Unfortunately, successive leaders didn't buy into that vision. And so we're basically now dependent on Akosombo, which was being extended virtually everywhere. And sad for us, Burkina Faso built their own dam, which means that water supply into the Akosombo was now challenged. And so we're not getting enough to be able to generate as much electricity as we wanted. And since Akosombo was not generating enough, and we had decided now that we're extending the same Akosombo to as many households as possible, and then the same generation was for industrial purposes, we were stretched. So at some point we needed to ration power. And so in order to deal with it, we needed to go beyond just that. The West African gas pipeline came on stream, and then we have the T1 and T2 that Rekubobe define as toys, all of them. So under successive, there have been attempts to add on to what we're getting from the Akosombo. The Bui there were attempts to get of course, we got a buoy on stream. So it means that once other governments were adding to the generational capacity that we needed, we had then observed that we had a shortfall in terms of what we are generating for consumption. So it could not have been Mohammed's creation that we had DANSO, because there had been a history, there was a vision to make sure that we had enough, and we as a country didn't follow through with it. Now, under Kufuor, the problem persisted, and so we had the pastors going to pray to make sure that there were rain so that Kosombo would be filled overnight, so that we could have. I'm surprised we could do that, but then it moved on, and at the point, everybody needed electricity, so power had to be rationed. The challenge at the time was, how do we add to the generation? I live in Tema. I saw the car power ship. It's very close to where my vessels are. So then when it came, I saw it driving and all of that. I knew a number of people who worked at their pylons and everything. I knew when they set it up. Yeah.
I saw it when I went to Takrani.
Yeah, no, that is when it had been moved. But where it was originally, when they brought the first one and they took it away and then they brought the bigger one. I saw all of that. So there was an addition. You needed to now up your generational capacity. And so at the time GM was president, the challenge was generational. We had the current vice president at the time saying that Ghana's energy crisis was not generational and that it was financial. But then when the generational capacity was increased, we realized that the power situation was stabilized. By 2016, we had virtually stabilized our power situation. And then when MPP took over, we had them say that, they have stopped doing so, and even though they had not added anything to it, and that they had said that they had the capacity. But GM also did not only leave them with enough capacity, it also left them with money, because there was the ESLA, Energy Sector Levy Act, which was supposed to deal with the legacy debt that had been left for them to deal with. So by far and large, the problems that GM solved are completely different from what we face today. Today, we are not facing the same generational capacity that had lingered on over a long period of time. Now we are faced with the challenge of how to run the capacities that we have, the capacity for which they say that we probably have more capacity than we needed. So now you have a Mary that had been moved to Kumasi. They call it KTT1, right? Is that the name they call it? KTT1.
I don't want to remember that name. Because a Mary sounds more Voltairean.
And then we have the Kappa that had been moved to second D. And then we still have the T1, T2. So at least when you put them together, we have a lot of generation. Now, what we have failed to do as a country is to take advantage of the enormous sunlight that God has given to us. That we've made it so expensive and difficult for individuals to even mount solar panels. Because if we take off the taxes on the equipment for people to mount solar panel, I'm sure a lot of domestic users would go for solar power and probably go off the national grid in order that they will have consistent electricity. What it then means is that you have a lot more power released into the system for commercial use. And once leadership is not thinking that direction, that people are building new houses everywhere. And so if it's much cheaper for them to get the solar panel installed, I'm sure that option will be available for them to install their solar, so that they will not be relying on the central generation from government. So yes, we have a challenge. We need innovation to solve the challenge. But the current problem, I'm sorry, but is not generational. So you cannot compare what GM went through and how he solved it to now that you have moved gas from Atuabo in the western region to Kumasi to power a plant in Kumasi, and then we still have the West African gas pipeline powering the Abuazi thermal plant in western region. I don't know what happened to the power badge that Rollins brought some years ago. I remember last time I went to Bonre in the western region, I saw it sitting. That was long ago. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it, but then you remember that there was some power badge. So basically there's been an attempt by almost all government, except for this government, to add to the generational mix that we have. And they are not adding because they said we have more than we need. It means that Jawama basically solved the generational problem. What they need now is to be able to deal with the financial part of it. Me, I'm a consumer. I'm a prepaid consumer. So before I consume power, I pay for it. So as a citizen, I have a right to enjoy the power I have paid for. But I pay for power, and then I'm denied the use of the power I have paid for. If there are financial issues, it was different when the meters were postpaid. That you could say that I had not paid my light bill, and so you had disallowed or you denied me the use of the power. But now I pay for the power before I even consume it. And at any time that my payment was due or my money was finished, you took off the power. So why take the power away from me when I have paid for issues? Probably what we are failing to do is to do a lot of citizen mobilization to make the right demands and the right calls. I heard Kofi Kapito say that we cannot have a timetable because it is financial issue and all of that. In the first place, I agree, we don't need a timetable because we need to be served with our power. It's not because it's financial, because
requesting for a shelter would mean that you are actually invariably acquiescent.
Yeah. So what we need is that I pay for the power ahead of time. So once I have paid, I've come into a contract with you, I have fulfilled my part of the contract. You have a duty to ensure that you also fulfill your part of the contract. Otherwise, why take my money? And I feel that is the way the demand should go. That's why I probably agree with him that we don't need a timetable. But for the other part of his argument that it has to do with financial, and so when money comes, the timetable may be distorted, that argument doesn't fly for me.
Well, thank you very much, Register, for your submission. Let me remind you again, we're streaming live on Facebook. Kindly share the feed so others can get the opportunity to watch the show. Let me come to you, Ebo, before I come to Fred.
Yeah, Kwame, this comparison that has been going on for some time. When it comes to the issue on the economy, they compare. My interest rate was this, my inflation was this, yours is this. And I don't think it's something that is helpful. Where we've gotten to as a country, we don't need such comparisons. What we need is how our leaders will be fixing our problems. That is what is important. I mean, if you consider that now that we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, one thing that we will need to do to take advantage of that market, that huge market out there, is to see how we can industrialize properly so that we can take advantage of the opportunities the market provides. And so you can't industrialize without having the required or necessary energy to power your industrialization. And so when it comes to the issue of energy, it becomes so important that when the politicians are talking, they shouldn't just politicize it. They should look at it in respect of how all of us want to industrialize our nation to be able to transform this economy. Because we know the weakness in our economy has been the exchange rate issue. And the only way we can solve that exchange rate issue is to see how we can industrialize to be able to export more and also to reduce imports. That is where you can have a very strong currency. And so you need energy to push that agenda. And as my brother Riley said, Kwame Nkrumah envisioned something like that. When Kwame Nkrumah needed to industrialize Ghana the way he did, he needed power, energy. And so that is why we had Akosombo. And I think as a nation, over the years, we have failed to look at our energy mix properly. I mean, it's been hydro, quite recently, thermal. But the point is that we can also take advantage of the sun, the wind, and other forms of energy that other countries are taking advantage of. So I don't like it when people say, like as the professor said, what is happening is not as bad as what happened under former President Mahama. You see, the point is that what is happening, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. And it's even getting worse. And once it's a financial problem that is causing that, the question is, when are we going to have money to be able to solve this problem? And so only God knows when it's going to end. Because as you said, as we've been saying, even the IPPs are not being paid. We don't have money to pay them, simply pay them. We don't have money to buy the needed, if you like, fuel or whatever to power the energy sector. So for me, what we need to do as a nation is to sit down and look at our energy sector issues very well and not take politics out of it. Right. See, the politicians must, take a back seat when it comes to the issue of energy and allow those who can handle the issue to handle. That is why I believe that to some extent we need to look at the privatization of the energy sector. I say to some extent, I am for privatization, not wholly privatization, but if you can privatize some aspect of our energy issues.
I think we should privatize the country.
No, Kwame, the problem is... No, Kwame, I know...
Let's privatize the country.
No, Kwame, is it...
How can you... You are saying that. You just sat here. With the greatest respect to.
Yeah.
And you said that you wonder why politicians play politics with the energy sector.
Yeah.
But you are very comfortable leaving your energy sector in the hands of a private person who will now determine how and when and what to do.
Kwame, you know, every privatization we've had, we have regulations. You see, privatization
that is what they are doing. You see, have you read the Japanese book?
Kwame.
No, some of these things you overstraight.
Kwame,
let's create a system where the Ghanaian people will be so upset that they would now ask us to privatize ECG so that we will come and buy ECG and run ECG. What are you talking about?
Kwame.
Kwame, my brother. You are making me...
No, Kwame, privatization in itself...
Listen.
Kwame, privatization in itself...
Hold on. There are fundamental questions that have to be asked. Ebo, why is ECG unable to run? Why?
We are talking about financing.
Fantastic. Why is it that they don't have...
And management problem as well.
Hold on. This current management, they have introduced an app which is very functional. Now is the most reliable payment app in Ghana as we speak. What do you want them to do? Now, the fundamental question that I asked you, to which you've not provided me, okay, you provided the first answer. So the second question I'm asking is that why is ECG suffering financial difficulties? Why?
Because you see, they sell.
Yes. They sell to who?
They sell to Ghanaians.
Yes, but who are the biggest buyers of ECGs? product?
Of course, government
Fantastic.
institutions, yeah.
So, if government is the biggest buyer, and government is not paying, do you think ECG would get the money to run?
And that is why
Fantastic.
I come in.
No, hold
That
on.
the
So the question is not so much about privatization. The question is ensuring that we force government, we make sure government pays its debt to ECG.
You see, but the government itself appointed the ECG boss. The
Why?
government itself appointed the directors.
Why? Your chief justice was appointed by the president.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is
IGP
that
was appointed by the president. You see, it is when we sit down and we think that because government appointed somebody, they are not supposed to do their work. I find that very laughable.
But
honestly,
that's the problem you have been having.
but the problem must be solved because you see, the thing is that it's, you see, we are creating a platform or we are creating a system where MPP would say, people would say that, and you see, you are not the first person who said that. Otumfuo started that conversation.
But you see,
Otumfuo started the conversation.
No, you see, let's
go and privatize his palace.
Oh, Kwame, let's
privatize the palace.
Kwame, you see,
and then we are able to make money. Then we can privatize his.
Privatization in itself is not a bad thing. But you see, it's because our part of the world, people have, like what Admiral said.
It's not. You privatized Ghana Telecom.
Everything
you privatized to Vodafone. What did you get from it? What?
Kwame.
You are still MPP small. You property owning.
Kwame. You see, I believe that there should be a blend. If the government has, a stake in it, and the private sector also has a stake in it, I mean, fantastic. I mean, I believe.
Look at the water sector. Years back, we brought in a private company to come and help Ghana Water to collect bills and what have you. What happened to it?
We are going far.
We brought PDS.
That's the point I was going to
PDS. But we know PDS issue.
That's what I'm saying, that it can be done properly.
How can it be done properly?
Kwame. No, I'm not talking about these people. It seems you think I'm talking about these people.
No, may I answer a question?
But these people, no. For the PDS people, you know.
Kofi Kapito said something very instructive. That when ECG has the power, they will have nothing to do with it but to give it to Ghanaians.
Exactly.
Because they won't keep the power. You understand?
No.
So if ECG is not getting it to sell, when you bring in a private person, where is he going to get the power from? Because it's from the same IPP and the state producers.
The point is that we owe these people. We must pay them. But your coffers is empty because of the stupid investments that government has made. That instead of investing the money in this country, your president is flying private jets and bathing in the air. You are not talking about it. And you are saying we should privatize ECG.
You see, Kwame.
My brother.
Kwame, you let's leave it.
You can't argue this one out.
No. I just don't want to overstretch the argument because I believe that privatization in itself, it's not something bad. I mean, others have done it and they've succeeded.
Let me tell you something.
The fact that we have not.
Let me tell you something. If you go to you yourself, you are well traveled. In China, in America, most of the big institutions, big banks and things like that, government has about 90 or 80% shares in them.
But if you go,
invariably, it's government owned. It's just that management and all those small things. Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that
in this country, the kind of mentality we have, if you privatize something, it is somebody's avenue to make money. That is the whole problem. So it is not about the institution that is wrong. It is about the people manning the institution.
Don't forget, we privatized COVID testing in the airport.
We privatize so many things. We privatize so many things.
Let's not demonize privatization. Because I mean,
I am not for privatization. I remember when I was growing up in Ashanti region. I am not ever for privatization. When I was growing up in Ashanti region, we had something we call tankers, and I'm telling you for a fact that those days when you hear tankers is coming,
everybody knew about tankers.
When they gave it to Zoom Lion and all those people, right now see your streets.
But the tankers, it fizzled out long before Zoom Lion came in.
What I'm saying is that if we had handled it well. Because right now, Zoom, like, what have you done? I'm sorry. But that's the problem. Then if we should privatize even the police institution.
Come.
Seriously.
Let's not overstretch the argument.
No, I'm saying that we should privatize Jubilee House. Because our president is not functioning. So let's go and privatize Jubilee House so we can have people who come and manage the president.
We can even privatize the presidency.
Friend, let me come to you. Everyone has done. It's done as a submission. I've closed it.
I don't want to. Kwame,
I don't want to.
I appreciate your frustration. I think that Nia and Ebo, they've touched on the subject. They've taken us through the history where we have come from with our energy issues. The reference point for which you're having this discussion this morning is Professor Adai. And, you know, there is some credibility deficit. And so when people like that speak, sometimes to respond to them becomes very, very difficult. These are persons we expect that they should be role model, people we can look up to, people who can speak the truth to power regardless. But unfortunately, sometimes something comes over them and the approach and everything becomes something else. Not too long ago, he was in charge of GIMPA. Is that not correct? He left GIMPA, government appointed him as the board chairman of GRA. Is that also correct? As soon as they removed him as the GRA boss, the man started talking. The man started saying all manner of things. And so for him today to be talking about comparing the energy problems of John Mahama to President Akufo-Addo, for me it is neither here nor there, because there's no comparison at all. You have a president that came into office in 2014 and said, I am taking full responsibilities of problems that has existed for only God knows how long. And then everybody who has lived in this country, and I cited this example not too long ago, that some of us were growing up in our villages and the rest, there was no electricity in the village at all. Absolutely. There was no electricity. In fact, the nearest place you can get electricity is the district capital. Even that one, they were not connected to the national grid. Often they were using plants. And so the lights are on by 10 p.m., they go off. So every time you have to watch football, I remember Japan 93 and all those ones coming Italy 91. Either we use a car battery, or you have to drive maybe from Akpafu or Sandrogo to Ololubi or Lekpe to Hawaii to be able to watch a football match and go back. That is how this country is. Under Jerry John Rawlings' PNDC and First NDC, they decided to open up, extend electricity to almost every part of this country. Sometimes I get crazy when I hear people ask us, we should point to social intervention that we have done as a political party. To extend electricity to the people is a social intervention. To send water is a social intervention. I remember those that we even carry electricity from here to a farm place. Some people have said in the past that it was simply not possible. Rawlings said it was possible. Cables were laid through River Fram, all the way to that enclave. Almost every part of the country today, as we speak, is connected one way or the other to the national grid. Now you are extending electricity to every household. You are extending to every community. You have forgotten that you need to generate more to be able to meet up with the demand that you are creating. You know, we are demanding for more electricity, and yet we are not supplying more. So President Mahama came to office and said, you know what? We need to find a solution to this thing. Because at the time, our entire generation capacity was less than 2,800 megawatts. Our entire capacity, that is, if all the machines that we have and all the sources that we have were functioning at maximum capacity, we had less than 2,800 megawatts. Then he said, we need to move this into about 5,000 plus, so that we can even have excess power that we can even export abroad and make more money out of it. They said all manner of things against him. He has mentioned all the machines and the plants that were brought in. You know, NPP at the time said that the problem was not generation issue. The problem was money issue. Today we tell them, knock off one plant and let's see what will happen today. Now they are shedding only 500 megawatts of electricity. Every time that the lights go off, it's only 500 megawatts. So if you have about 5,470 megawatts of electricity, and at our peak consumption, we are talking about 3,800. If you are shedding 500, why should we still be in DANSO? Because at every point in time, we should have about 4,500 power available to us. The reality is that you don't have money to pay the IBPs. And so they are not generating. The reality is they don't have money to buy other gas or to buy light crude oil and power your thermal plants. That is why we are where we are. As he rightly said, President Mahama didn't just bring the machines and all the things that he did. He also made sure that a dedicated fund was created to to retire all the energy sector, a dedicated fund, the ESLA, to retire all the debts. It was a nuisance task. The MPP, the Baolaya, the Akufo-Addo, whose whole aim in life is to become a president, and beyond that, nothing else. And he has left the country on autopilot. They said it was a nuisance task. And then when they came into office, they were going to remove it immediately. You know the first thing they did? They used that thing, they used that same fund that was supposed to have ended after 5 years to go and take a facility.
Yeah.
They used as a collateral to go and take a loan. What did they use the loan for? They rent a plane for an hour, $17,000. Old man. $17,000 private jets. Meanwhile, we have a private plane, presidential plane on the tarmac. It was flying all over the place. You want to go and watch Tottenham play football match. See, we have forgotten Ghana. Sometimes we have forgotten the wickedness that this government, this administration, has planted this country into. And so people like Professor Adai should not be talking at this point. At worst, you go and be in his private school and keep quiet.
Does he have a private school?
Oh yes, I don't know why area there. Go and check the fees is charging. Heavy, your child cannot go. And here these are the people who are talking plenty. But Kwame has to cough more money. I know Kwame is a rich man, but he has to cough more money. You know what I mean?
You don't dispose of me.
So see, these guys came into office and they said we have created more power than we needed. Excess capacity, we don't need it. Excess capacity. So why are we struggling today? When at the time we had arrangements, how we're going to take some power to Burkina Faso, how we're going to extend more to Togo, how we're going to take more to Nigeria and make more money so VRA can continue to function effectively. You came in, you mess up everything. Chop, 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 chop. They were grabbing as though there's no tomorrow. See, with all apology, the statement that Asante Hene, our revered king, made recently in Kumasi, when they decided to take these Amari plans to Kumasi and change the name and did all the things that they did, the recommission.
So Amari was taken to Kumasi only because, and changed the name only because it sounds Rotarian.
And yeah, Kwame, you may be right. But the reality is that the Ashanti people were screaming that this government has not done anything in Ashanti region. They have nothing to point to. And so let's carry this one there. Let's go and have the fanfare. We are going to commission it. Me, when I heard Asante spoke that day, I sincerely believe he spoke out of frustration. That if government cannot manage it, we cannot manage it, then privatize it. I don't believe he believed that is the way to go. Because truly, these people, Kwame, you said it, but I didn't emphasize it. It's a deliberate thing that they are doing. Let's create the impression in the whole country that there's a problem. Government cannot manage it. Let's privatize it. Then the same people will go behind and go and buy it.
Tomorrow they will control your energy sector.
You see, the people, what this administration is trying to do is that even when they are off power, when the chief mafias are off power, they still want to control the affairs of this country. They still want to have the banking sector in their hands. They want to have the energy sector in their hands. They want to everything in their hands. It's a deliberate policy. But these are chain boys. These immoral boys who are refused to sign the lesbians and gays law because of their own immorality. So please, as for ECG and the DANSO and the laptop that we have, we must say it very boldly, clearly, and loudly to the Ghanaians. That is the recklessness, the incompetence, the selfishness, and the greed of Baumia and his boss. That is where we are today. Yeah. And so nobody should compare this problem to John Dramani Mahama. If you recall, when they came into office, Baumia went to Joe FM and said, we should not give credit to John Mahama for solving the DANSO. Yeah. And that he created, so he has solved it, so be it. He himself said it. President Mahama took responsibility. Ministers under his watch, when they gave a timeline, they couldn't meet the timeline. Comrade Nonko resigned.
Yeah, resigned, yeah.
Men of principle, men of integrity. And today, when you ask the sector minister, give us a timetable so we can plan ourselves. He tells you, go and create your own timetable. And what's Kofi Kapito saying? That when they give us a timetable, and then by tomorrow they get money, Then why becomes the timetable? Why? Timetable is it something they're going to hang around our necks that they cannot remove? So I've given you a timetable that is my schedule for the next 1 week or 2 weeks. By the grace of God, I've gotten some money. So put the timetable aside. Everybody has light. Are we not moving on?
Very well.
So where's the argument?
Thank you, Fred, for that wonderful submission. You're still watching Pan-African Television. Good Morning Africa show live on Pan-African Television. KWAME OWUSU is the name. The next topic that we're going to touch on has got to do with what Dr. Yao Osei-Chuma said, that NPP has progressed beyond manifesto promises. NPP has progressed beyond manifesto promises.
He lives in Afghanistan. He's talking from Afghanistan.
NPP has progressed beyond manifesto promises. Let me start with you, Fred.
You see, I am not surprised. Dr. Chuma, what is the name?
Dr. Yao Osei,
he is the education minister, right?
Yeah.
Because he set up a small private school in America, so suddenly he has become an educationist. And so they brought him to Ghana and decided to entrust our whole Ministry of Education in his hands. And this is a man they're advocating for to become a running mate. If Napotige will not fly, he must fly. And when you engage them one hour, they tell you, oh, you know, as for him, he talks nicely. As for him, he doesn't show tendencies of arrogance and all that. That is what they tell you. They are not able to tell that the sector that was given to him, he has been able to man the sector efficiently and well. And so based on that track record, we think that he could become a vice president. But really, KWAME, are you surprised they're talking the way they're talking? As far as they are concerned, they have done the best. Not too long ago, I read either on Twitter, whatever it is, X they call it now, Gabriel Otago saying that very soon Ghanaians will see what Akufo-Addo has done for this country. We all know ourselves. We all were moving around and going and coming. Is their conditions have changed? Gabi told us he's no longer going to do local politics. The investments they have done abroad, that is where they're going to focus and concentrate. And so for Chum to say what they're saying, they give you education ministry. You say you are implementing free SHS. Go and check the Constitution of Ghana. It provides for that we should have FQ, free basic compulsory universal education at the lower level. And that when we have finished that, based on availability of resources, education at the secondary and tertiary level too could become free. Progressively free. And so and Ghana here, let's be very candid. All of us who attend school in this country, when you go to university, do you pay for tuition? Government pay for tuition, is that not correct? When you go to school, do you pay teachers? You don't pay teachers, government that pays. So education has always been progressively free. Under NDC, some of the things that parents were paying for, like electricity bills, PT, sports dues, and all those things were taken off. We were supplying textbooks, we were supplying books free of charge. At a point, school uniform and everything came in. Then you said you had promised the people of this country a free education. And so you are going to announce a free education. Your own sector minister, Minister of Finance, your own cousin, at the time even questioned the rationale behind the policy. Because social interventions must be targeted. Because you want to solve a particular problem. They are not permanent. He asked himself, he asked everybody that, I am the finance minister. I'm making so much money. Every loan I procure for this country, my private company is advisor. And they are making a lot of money from that. Why should I take my son to Achimota school and expect government to pay his fees? Why cannot not pay the fees? Now go to our schools. Go and check the foods the children are eating.
That's terrible.
My boy is St. Peter's. In St. Peter's, your final year. When he's leaving for school now, the mother has to prepare banku. And then they will wrap it. Number of balls. They will do shito. They will do all manner of tests. Kinky. Because when they go to the dining hall, sometimes they will serve them porridge. No bread. No sugar. Nothing. And at a point, almost all the children are just falling sick. I don't know if you're tracking it. All the kids will come back home, they have lost weight, they look so terrible. You said PTA should not get involved. You said headmaster should not talk. Nobody should complain. You can do it. Then buffer stock company that was set up by Professor Mills, that we can mop up excess food and make sure there's food supply for the country every day. Now you said, all right, now you know what? All schools must now procure from buffer stock. It can become a business for them. Now they have shared the contract themselves. Some are buying rice, some are buying maize, and then they sell back to the schools. And I ask myself, if I have a school in my community like Likpe Secondary School, the main occupation of the people of the Likpe area is agriculture, farming. The other, they are doing rice farming, they are doing plantain, they are doing this. Why should we bring rice from Accra to come and feed students in that community? Why should we bring rice from Accra to the Lobis and seminary to go and feed the students? When that is why the parents we can get the food stuff from the local community to stimulate the local economy as well. Educhu has not been able to do any of these things. You decided to change the educational curricula in 2019. Till today that we are speaking here, textbooks, you have not been able to provide textbooks for the schools. There are no textbooks. Now you are telling us we are going to give them tablets, and that we are going to put the educational materials on the tablets. We have asked them to tell us the cost of the tablets. They say they are buying about 1.4 million tablets, right? We have asked them to give us the cost. Till date, nobody can give us the cost. I was on a show with the PRO of Ministry of Education. He couldn't tell us the cost. He said we should go and look for it. I don't know where you are going to get the cost. I asked him, how many of the tablets have you procured? He said they have procured the 1.5 million. Meanwhile, there was a report that says that the initial 400,000 that they even brought, they only give part payments to the supplier. And so, the sector he manages, for which he is saying that they have done so well, if you ask them today, since they've been in power almost 8 years, point to one public university you have built, they can't show you any. Point to one regional hospital they have built, they say they are doing agenda 111. I remember President Mama was building the E-block schools. These people, they were already on TV shouting that we're building schools in the bush. Go and check where they are putting up the hospitals.
Oh, to be fair, I saw one on my way back from my village. I think after Hohoy or so.
Oh no, that's after Hohoy. When they come, you get to.
It's nice. That one is almost done.
I am not saying it's not. I'm saying that where are they building it?
Oh, but that one is not in the bush.
Go and find out the cost of the school. But some of them you don't know where they are. I know I've been going a lot.
But I'm talking about the one I've seen.
I don't know. You have not mentioned the community. If there's one at Vehiculum, you come. It's by the roadside.
But it's not good.
In between. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying that recently, your sister radio station, CTFM, when the flattening at Nokujoto's conference, they went there to build a hospital, teachers bungalow. The total cost of that project is about 2.2 million Ghana cedis. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Yes, 2.2 million Ghana cedis. That's the old money, like 22 billion. How much are they building one of these Agenda 111? We want to know the cost. We want to know the cost. The procurement that we want to know. And so this government, I have said, and as I conclude, that nobody will remember Adonai Akufo-Addo and Baolaya kindly in this country.
All right.
They are a monumental failure. They are a disaster. They have just come to make money for themselves and their family and nothing else. Okay. They have not added anything to the forward march of this country.
Thank you, Honorable Fred Agbanyo. Abena Pokuya says Ghanaians have misconstruction about privatization. They think 100% privatization will help this country. Go and check the third world countries that are now in the first class countries and whether or not they privatize their critical institution, etc. Please, we must understand this concept of privatization and know where to place it in our national development. Nancy Fioye says you are still comparing when you said you can do things better than Mahama. You are in government, so solve it. Dumso is Dumso, whether small or big. Ashui Nyanyui Escape. Thank you, Kwame, for putting it to them that privatization is not something we should talk about at all. These people clothe themselves with skins of sheep, yet are wolves, always thinking of getting for themselves everything. MPP, never again. Mahama and NDC solved the problems they were confronted with. So the whole Ghana can benefit. Yet some self-seeking people are thinking of how to share for themselves. So 2-4 things, Ameri has been sent to Kumasi, so he will benefit from privatization. Same people will go behind and buy and then control everything. Selfish people. What happened to privatized Nkrumah's factories? Good morning, Kwame. Good morning. He had a fire, more fire. Joshua Kumado. ECG's problems is purely mismanagement. But I don't think any privatized organization will want to run at a loss since it will directly affect individuals. When government-owned organizations runs into debt. Government-owned organizations run into debts. Government pays and no individual loses. Do you ever think government will take its work seriously? Gordon Kofi Michael says, Kwame, your vice president has gone to Vatican City to visit the Pope for spiritual blessings for elections instead of fixing the economic crisis and DANSO-related matters. Alotekre says, Ghanaians are paying their bills. Government is not paying his bills. That is simple. Hi, host. Professor Adair said DANSO under President Mahama is a result of leadership paralysis. This man is a tribal bigot. Like others see nothing wrong under Akufo-Addo. Alotekre says the chief of Asante is doing MPP propaganda. We should learn to call a spade a spade. Johnny Kujo says, good morning to you, KOD. To be honest with you, this government is the most corrupt, useless, and incompetent government we have seen in this fourth Republican dispensation. Alotekre again comes and said 90% of the press is owned by government. Call a spade a spade. They cannot talk, but they know the truth. Now, this one says, good morning to you. This wicked government has not supplied textbooks to basic schools for 7 years, but concentrate on SHS because of votes. But we are wise. From Maynard, Karina, Hohoi. Good morning to you, Kwame. I'm not surprised MPP and the Akufo-Addo-led government is ruling the awkward way. In fact, they are so arrogant to the extent that common timetable, they cannot prepare for Ghanaians. When we talk, they begin to compare NDC and MPP, and I wonder why they were given power. Hope Simbeli Hlogbe from Agbozume, Ketu South constituency. Good morning to you, Kwame. I'm a regular follower of your paper review program. Please try to create a balance by compelling pro-government people to be part of the program regularly. It helps. Thank you, Kwame from Ho. Kwame, the platform is available to everybody. We call them, some of them will show up, others won't. So we can't force them to come. The platform is there. It's for everybody. J.S. Hussein in Tabale says, KOD, good morning to you. And your panelist said, did you listen to... Okay, thank you very much. All right, let me come to register. The messages are pouring in anyway, but let me just come to register.
You know why I'm confused?
Tell me.
Because I don't know where...
my brother said we should privatize ECG.
I don't know where Dr. Richum is standing. Well, you see, you have a vice president who is currently the presidential running candidate for the NDC, MPP, who is saying that, oh, okay, I was just a driver's mate and I'm going to do things differently. And that all the bad things that happened in the past, I never had the opportunity to intervene, and that my voice was not in. And that when you take me, I'm going to run an entirely new government. And so, how then do we get whatever vision he has if they live beyond the manifesto? It's basically rubbish everything that had happened under this government. That he was only a driver's mate and that he was not in charge of the vehicle. He has gone ahead to set up a manifesto committee. Even brought in Asamoah to be part of a manifesto committee to be able to now tell us what is it that they would want to do. And then we have somebody who wants to be his running mate come to say, oh, for me, at this stage, we have lived beyond manifesto. What is the measure? What is the basis? Is it that manifesto is no longer important because when they put things in the manifesto, they will be measured by it and they will not be able to implement what they have put in the manifesto. And so there won't be anything for you to look at and then say, we want to measure you by these standards because these are your own words. Because the manifesto becomes the simple basis for measuring their achievements. And so if you won't put anything on paper, or you feel, look, I'm scared of manifesto because people would now refer to my manifesto promises and ask me questions. Is that the tangent he's taking? Because I have not heard anywhere any serious politician who wants power who would say that I want power, but I'm not ready to tell you what is it that I want to do. We are dealing with a power crisis today a situation where they have explicitly said that they were going to resolve, even though it's been resolved with money left for them, that they've not been able to resolve. And yet you hear him say that we don't need a manifesto. Now, how are they going to govern the country? We had the National Development Planning Commission setting up a 30-year development plan, 40-year development plan led by Dr. Nimoy Thompson. A fantastic document that had been jettisoned. Probably if we say, oh, we have a national development plan, we have, and that we are all going to work by the national development plan that we have, and so let's tap into the national development plan and see how we all would show how we're going to achieve the objectives of the national development plan. That is different. But even as a country, what we try to put together, which was more like all stakeholders working on at it and getting a comprehensive document that will guide our development for the next 40 years, it's been thrown overboard. So what will be the blueprint? And we at least anybody with a law background will know that the Constitution provides for the directive principle of state policy and how the state would be run in terms of following government projects and all of that. So we need to, it needs to come clear. Honestly, I cannot comprehend exactly what the education minister meant by they don't need a manifesto.
Because work beyond the manifesto.
No, work beyond what manifesto, because
the MPP's manifesto, obviously.
Oh, okay, so
they've achieved more than the things they put in their manifesto.
Oh, well, that's why probably I'm confused. I'm in the fishing industry. I can best speak for that industry.
The blue.
No, I'm a fisherman. I'm in the fishing industry. No, I'm a very simple fisherman. Our fish landings are declining by the day. Our resources are declining. Our costs of operation are going very high. And it is not a very conducive business environment now. This is a government that is private sector led. My fishing license was $35 per GRT. By 2019, it moved to $135 per GRT. What that means is that my vessel's weight is $1,000. I was paying $35,000 every year. Now I pay $135,000 every year. My fuel costs, just recently, my vessel, one of my vessels takes about 300,000 liters of fuel per trip. So if a liter of fuel is $14, 14 Ghana cedis, you multiply that by 300,000. That is how much fuel I take for fishing. So I was selling tuna for 4,000 Ghana cedis in 2018. Now I sell tuna for close to 28,000 Ghana cedis.
4 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
4.2.
Yes.
Fuel. 4,200,000. One trip.
One trip.
Now, Namibia.
But last I told you that we need a minimum of $200,000 to be able to back.
So when you go and you don't get fish, what would you do?
That's why you must get a fish.
Before you come, by fire, by crook.
Yes.
Anyhow.
Yes.
Hey, I see.
You get it.
4.2 million.
So, no, it's no joke. When people say my company is into tuna fishing, it's the cost of, and you are talking about paying wages for our crew. We talk about the food and other things. When you berth at port, you pay the dollar equivalent of whatever they are charging. So well, the charges are pegged to the dollar. So anytime you come and the dollar is gone high, you pay more. So it's honestly, from where I see it, I'm struggling. We are struggling to keep our businesses together. So I have 2 more vessels that I am not replacing. We call them pole and line, because there's no way you can break even.
Wow.
Because you need to use the ring net, the one that uses the net, But if you are using the hook and line, you struggle. Almost all the polling line, we have 20 of them. Only 5 or 6 are active currently because they cannot break even. So you see,
for me, let me count my brother. I have less than 2 minutes left. Wow.
The business where I am, I had ceased to be a teacher long ago in the fishing industry. Honestly, it is a struggle.
But the minister says it's not true.
But we will still enter. We will find a way of getting the vessel by fuel 4.2 million
per trip.
Do you know, I'm also a fisherman, but
Hey,
not
okay.
as large scale as.
Let me supply fuel.
Yes, that is. I mean, we were born into it.
But look, just recently we requested for 263,000 liters, and MPA approved only 72,000 liters. So we have to take the vessel to sea to go and bunker. Sure. Oh yes, because the approval would have to go to MPA, and we are struggling because most of the vessels are not getting the marine gasoline to be able to fish. You see,
I'll get you some.
You see, the point is that the business environment has become toxic.
Very.
I mean, cost of doing business in Ghana is way overboard. Everything, I mean, things are falling apart. The economy, yeah. I mean, but you see, the truth is that if you don't have strong currency, you don't have an economy.
True.
And so that is what is happening to us. I mean, look at the noise. You see, they are talking about promises. I mean, if you take even one promise, that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And even that one alone, I've said that one alone is enough, ground on which Ghanaians must reject the Alhaji Bawumia. But you see, Kwame, with the issue of the minister, what he's been saying, I don't know. He said they have progressed beyond Manifesto. So where are they now? If they've progressed beyond Manifesto, where are they now? Because if you juxtapose the things they promised Ghanaians and the things they've done, certainly there's deficit. I mean, the concrete roads, the stable currency, I mean, the economy, the totality of the economy is in shambles. So what are they talking about? You see, I'm from Cape Coast. If there's one promise that we people of Cape Coast, we are waiting to be fulfilled by this government, and for that matter, Alhaji Bawumia, it is our airport and harbour. Because he said, fantastically, he said, people of Cape Coast, we are constructing. You see, that wasn't even a promise of we shall or we will. He said, we are constructing harbour and airport for you. And that is what we are waiting for. But you see, that is on a lighter note. But on a more serious note, Kwame, the way the economy is going, the way things are being run, if you don't take care, where in the next 7 months or 6 months, where this country will find itself, we can't stand it.
Now let's finish the conference.
Finish everything.
There's a change of government, you can't hustle.
And then we'll control everything from behind.
I mean, I understand why when I mention privatization, because of the kind of
the people
we have around
the people.
Yeah, and the Ejapadia book for that.
The Ejapadia book, there's like their manifesto.
Yeah.
Their in-house manifesto.
Yeah.
Executed it.
And they're going page by page.
Look at Snake appointment.
That's it.
It's in a book.
Yeah, it's in a
Look
book.
at Exim Bank.
It's in a book.
And like Eco Bank.
And this book came.
Like the EcoBank guy is supposed to have a board. If you are something at EcoBank or Senate or something like that, then you are automatically on the board of one of the banks.
And the book came out 2019. The book came out 2019.
Yes.
So if things that are happening today can be traced.
Imagine what has happened before the book came out.
Yeah. So the point is that I mean, as you rightly said, you see in Ashanti region, I think Napo has lost his own utterances recently, and his posturing, has taken him out of the running mate race. So this man wants to take advantage of it. So now he's also started talking the way he's
and John
talking.
Kuma too allegedly was pointed out.
So the point is that let's go on. This government is a
thank you.
It's a
Richard,
total
for
failure.
your time this morning.
It's
I
a
appreciate
total
you.
failure.
Ebo,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
As always.
Kwame,
Fred, thank
today
you.
is the birthday of Honorable Julius Debra. the former chief of staff.
Big bro, good morning.
That man is a unique personality.
Yeah. Oh, good morning.
You know, if all of us can emulate him, at least 50% of his lifestyle, I think people will be proud of us. Down to earth, very humble, very hardworking, very committed. Honorable, may the Lord bless you, and may the Lord increase your years and continue to do the good job. We love you.
All right.
I've never had an encounter with him, but
Fantastic human being.
Anyone I've met who spoke about him spoke like the way.
Fantastic human being.
It seems he's been a fantastic human being to a lot of people.
Fantastic human being.
People like that. I told you when Professor Thomas died, I wept like a baby. It's because of who he is.
His personality.
His personality. And from what I'm hearing, I think this...
Honorable Julius Deborah is something else.
Honorable Julius Deborah is also one of such people. And so may the good Lord continue to bless him and keep him safe.
Yeah, so happy birthday to him. And
happy birthday,
I know a lot of people who are his friends. One of my very good friends is a very good friend of him, but personally I've not had interactions with him.
He's a very warm person.
Yeah.
Just go to his office, you open the door, you see him.
Oh yeah, so but you know,
call him, he'll pick your call anytime.
So
he'll send you a message.
Yeah, happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, Chief.
Happy birthday to my good friend Fred Papo. You know Fred is my
Fred
friend.
Papo.
Fred Papo to my namesake.
So happy birthday to Chief. Yeah. What Fred said is applicable. You need to decode that. I'm on all fours with Fred's submission. But today, Professor
you have nothing more useful.
Nothing useful to add. Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman will be our dog today at UPSA. Pan-African Television will bring you a live feed, so you may want to, stay glued to Pan-African Television. See, sometimes when I watch people choose other platforms, I laugh because you see, when it comes to decent shows.
But people are all over the place.
I know.
When you travel the sub-region.
I know. We are all over the place.
It's like
Liberia, Mali, Burkina Faso, Senegal, everywhere.
Because we are the only station that does this international news discussion segment.
All right. So I'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice day. God bless.